Everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to start second part of Python full course. Who have not seen my first part of the Python course, I have mentioned the link below in the description, so you can follow and view the first part of the Python. So let's shall start it. So far what we have studied that how to set up the environment for Python, about the variables, data types, and the operators and the data structure which we have used in the Python. So now let's uh, take another topic in the Python itself. So we have gone through these literals, strings, numeric, boolean, and literal collections and the special literal. So today we are going to first we see some of the functions used by these literals. So let's open our ID over here. Okay, so there are many functions available in Python for these literals, so that can be used for perform different kind of actions. So let's take some few examples. So we'll talk about first the strings. So there is a few method which use mostly. I'll talk about that. So first method is count. This method basically returns the number of uh, times the specific values comes occurs in a string. So let me say I have a text which I have. So this is the text which I have. Let me say text dot count and which value I want to see. So I'm putting over here as a my, and let's run it. So you can see one over here. Same, we have another function which is called split split function. This basically split your entire string. So let's say text dot split and run it. So you can see this is split the entire string into a list itself, right? There's a one another which we can use it to find the number in our string, for a specific value where it's occur in my string. So that is a find function. So this is a find function. So let's say text dot find and which value I want. So let's say channel. I have a channel over here and run it. So this is comes on the 14th, right? So we have another functions like the standard functions in other programming language like lowercase or uppercase. If you want to you know make a string as a lowercase, or if I want to make it as a uppercase. Okay, so let's take an example of uppercase. Just okay. So see, the entire thing is in lowercase. So there are some examples. Let's move ahead and we'll see some of the functions which used by the list itself. So there are many methods which used in the list. Like let me not write it down over here. Append, clear, insert, remove, sort, reverse. So these are some of the functions, not the all. There are other many functions, but these are the functions which mostly used for when we work with the list itself. So let's example of this. So let's create first a list. So I'm going to create a list over here. My list name is fruits, and I'm going to add over here so this is my list. Okay, now I want to append this. So what I have done, so I am appending this, and I want to add another fruit in my list. So let's say it's a kiwi. Okay, now let's run it. Sorry, my mistake. So let's copy this again over here. Yeah, now I'm going to print fruits. See, my kiwi is added into that, right? Now let's take another example of insert. See, basically insert is as another example for, it's add the element for the specific for position. So if I want to add my another item into my list in a specific position, I'm going to use insert. Okay, so don't be confused between append and the insert itself. Okay, so let's take example fruits I have. Okay, so let me put insert function. So the parameter is the position and the value. So let me say the poly position is 1, and I'm giving where over here as a grade over here. Okay, so this is what I have given, and run it, print fruits. Let's run it. So now you can see apple, oranges, grapes, mangoes, banana, kiwi, right? So this is on the position 1, because this is apple, oranges are on the 0th position, right? So this is the example of using an insert. Let's take example of a sort. There is another function which is called sort, which we use to sort our list. So fruits dot sort I have given. Let's print it. Fruits, and we'll see that. So apple or banana, grapes, kiwi, mangoes. So it starts. So my list now is sorted. So this is the way we use our functions into Python for list. Now let's take few examples for the dictionary itself. See, dictionary have the same methods like clear, copy, get items, keys, pop items, set default, update, value. So these are the functions of this. So basically, the reason behind showing you these functions, show that how the collections list does work, what kind of functions we can use and perform it when the case of. So let's talk about few functions like there's a one function in the dictionary is called a pop method. So basically what pop method is do is remove the element with a specific key. So let me take some example over here. So I say a car is my brand. This is my key. Okay, and the brand I give the name Toyota. Let's say model. This is another key, and I would say Fortuner, and again I have another year, I would say 2021. So this is my dictionary. So let's say car dot pop, and what I want to remove is from this as a model, right? And going to print it, car. Now run it. So now you can see brand Toyota year 2021, but model Fortuner is removed from my dictionary, right? So this is the another one is the get method. Get method. What it will do? It will return the value specified key. Okay. So let's take an example for the get itself. So we'll take the same example over here. So let me copy this where again I'm giving this, and let's say I declare a variable a equal to car dot get, and I want the value of my brand. What is value of brand? So let's say brand, and let me print the value of a Toyota. So I get the value of from my dictionary by using a key, using a method of get method. There is another method called items. So basically what item do is return a list containing a tuple of for each key value pair. Okay, so let's see how to do that. We'll take the same example, the car example. Now car dot items. Let me write it down over here. Items, and I say a equal to items and print a. So this is my dictionary items, brand Toyota. See, you can see these are showing me in the tuples way, right? So basically, what is the use of this particular method is that it returns a view object, and view object contain the key value pairs of the dictionary in a tuples as a tuples in a list. So this is you are saying these are the tuples, right? Because we discussed that tuples are showing to be in a bracket, and list showing me into are uh, parenthesis showing into the tuples, and in the bracket it's showing the list. So it's showing me my dictionary items in a form of tuples in the list, right? So this is the example of items. Now we'll talk about the another one in our which is a tuples method. So tuples have a method called count and index. Let's say count. I'll write it down over count and index. So we'll see both. What we'll do first, we see the index one. What is the index? So let's create first tuple. So this is my tuple equal to I have created my tuple 1 3 6 7 8 5 4 5. This is my tuple I have created. Now I have given a variable b equal to this is my tuple, right? Dot index, and I am giving 7 over here, and let's print the value of B. So you can see third. So it's coming on the index number 3, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this is the way we are using the index. The other one is a count method. What counts to? Let's take an example. So I'm writing the same tuple tuple dot count, and let's I give the value of 8 over here. Okay, and it's a B and B, and I run it. So I've seen the value is 1. What if I do? I'll copy this, paste it over here, and let's say I add few more value 3 over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the value of, let me copy this, I paste it over here, and I'm going to find the count of value 3. So you can see 3 comes 3 times in my tuple, right? Now the last one which we are talking about is the set method, sorry, right? So let's take example of set. So set have methods called like add, copy, pop, remove, update. So these are some of the functions. Apart from these are the common functions which we most of the time we use. But apart from that, there are other methods also which is work for a set. So let's take an example. Okay. So we'll talk about first adding a element into my set. So let's take example of fruits which we have taken. So first we see what are, okay, let me say fruits equal to, this is my curly braces, I'm going to add apple, orange, so I have added this. Now what I'm going to do, I have to add a new new element into my set. So let's say I added this. Now print the fruits, and we'll see, okay, here it is. So it's added mango, but you can see that apple, oranges, cherry. So this is the way we are given our set, but what we are getting is completely different over here. Okay, and why it is that? Because we have already discussed that set is not a sorted, right? So this is the reason it's coming over here in this way. Now let's take another one example. Let's take the complex one. There is a one for method called a difference, and what it's do, it's return a set of containing the difference between the two or more sets, right? So let's take example of this. So suppose I have uh, one I have a fruits, right? Another I'll take as uh, companies. Let's say companies I have taken, right? So let me add few companies name over here. So this is my another set. Now let's take in comparison. So I create another my variable fruits dot difference companies. So this is what I'm going to do, and let's print C. So this is the difference between in this, right? And what is the use of this? So is basically, do you have a two sets and you want to make a difference, what are the differences between that? So in that case you are using this method which provide you the difference in that, right? And the parameter which we are providing is the set of to check the differences. Or even we can do in the same way that we can say C equal to companies, and or let me say something, I'll add one value. Okay, let me do that. I'm adding one value over here into this as Apple, right? This is the company name. So now let me say, I'll again run execute this code over here and see what it will come. So orange, cherry, and mango. So it will compare between two sets and give the difference, whatever the difference we have in the set, right? So these are some of the functions. So there's another function we'll quickly talk about that, which is a union function. And what union function do is return a set containing the union of sets. So suppose I have a multiple sets and I want to combine the values of all the sets. So in that case, I'm going to use this. So let's say same example we'll take C. Okay, see now I'm adding it. Let's say fruits dot union and with companies. Right, now print value of C. Like you can see Apple, Orange, Cherry, Microsoft, Amazon, Mango, and Apple. So it's added into combined both of the sets. But if you can see, the duplicates values are excluded. They only used on by one only, right? So this is the way we use it. And maybe there is a more, there would be a more set. So how you going to add it? So you need to remember that you have to give the parameter as a set 1, set 2, which is you want. Like, so if I say suppose C, and there's a C equal to fruits, and if I want to, I have another set which is called set 2, and if I have a set 3, if I have a set 4. So in this way what we are doing, we are combining all of the set which we have, combination of that. Okay, so this is how we use some of the functions for letters which we use when we work on, in the programming. There are the methods, there's a lot of methods which we can use it. So we have used it. Now let's move ahead, and now we are going to study about the flow statements, right? So let me open the another one. Okay, now so first we understand the if else condition, how the if else condition is applied and we use it, right? So if else condition is basically what? It's certain says that if something is true, then if condition A is true, then event 1 is event 1 is executed. If condition 2 is satisfied, then event 2 is executed. So in this way the if statements work. So let's see example of if statement, how the if statements work in there. So let's say I have two objects, one called two variables, one called a. I have given the value of b is equal to 200. Yeah. Now, now I'm going to write my if condition. So if a is less than b, then print what is a is less than b. I'm going to execute it. Now we can see it. But in this case, but if what if a is greater than b, print a is greater than b. But in case of we have a else condition, else print a is less than b. Now run it and you will see. Now you can see invalid text. Why invalid text? So because of this I have to put it over here, indented. Right. Yeah. A is less than b. So this is the way. So remember that in the previous session I have told you about that indent part. So it will take away, it will show you the invalid in syntax or indent, incorrect indentant over here. So let's take another example of when we use if else if. So how is going to be work? So let's in the same way, let's say if b is a less than b, then this statement should execute. A is less than b, if I say else, but I have to use else if. So for in Python we use elif. If you remember, we have gone through the keywords, and elif is my keyword in Python. So elif a equal to b, it should be print a and b are equal, and the another one is else, which we have given over here. And we write print a is less than b. But here now, if you see something over here, this is showing the elif and the else is showing me in a red, so it will give me a error. And what would be the error is, let's see. Oh no, it's not giving that. So a is less than b because my value, but if I change the value of this, it will work on it. So this is how we are going to use it. But now let's take an example of shorthand. Like if you familiar about Java, we use a ternary over there. So the same we use a shorthand if over here. So how is going to be right? Let me write down over here for your fun. Shorthand if a is greater than b, then print value of a is greater than b. Now let's run it. And if, because its statement is not filling it, but in case of if else, how we are going to use the if else? Let's take an example of this. Print a is less than b if condition, if a is greater than b, else print a is greater than b. A is greater than b because my a value is 30 and b. So this is how we use basically, whatever the statement we are giving, so it will execute in this way if we talk about the shorthand of this, right? And there's some keywords, the logical, or how we are going to use a logical operator, that we also seen. So let's take an example of and or, and or, how these things are going to. So I'm defining b equal to so this is what I have seen, and see the results. So like in the logical operator, we understand, we studied that in the logical, how the logical operators work. So if my this condition is true and this condition is true, then it will, you know uh, it will print this value. But if one of my condition is true and another is a false, it will give me a false, right? So the condition is not true. And if I talk about the, if one condition is false and another one is condition false, so the result would be the false. So in that way the logical operator will work. And if we talk about the or, there is a difference which we can say, like, let me write down over here for or also. A greater than b or a greater than c. So you can see the first statement is true but the second statement is false. So if I say print at least one of the condition is true. Oh, my mistake. Forget the column and I run it. At least one of the condition is true. So in this way we use it. Now talk about the nested if. So how the nested if works? So let's take the example. I have a value of 45 for my a, and I say if x is greater than 15, print 15. If I say now under this condition I have a nested condition. If x is greater than 30, print, and also above 30, else print but below 30. So now run it. Okay, so we are getting error, and why this error is getting? Because of on this particular line, right? So let's see where we have done mistake over here. Okay, sorry, x is not defined, so mistake. Let's say this, and above 15 and also above 30, right? So this is the way you are passing using a nested if value conditions. Okay, so there is a one statement which is called pass statement, and why we use. Let's suppose if if a statement cannot be empty, right? So, but if you are for some reasons you have a if a statement which have no content, so what we'll do in that case, we put the pass statement to avoid getting errors. So let's an example of the same, like we have a and b over here. So if I say if b greater than a colon, and I just read a pass, okay, and run it, it will do nothing. It won't give you any kind of error. Otherwise, it will give you an error. So the pass is the pass keyword we use only for when you have no contain in the if condition. Okay, so now let's move ahead and we see for loops, how the for loops will work. So for loop is used only for iterating over a sequence, like either as a list, a tuple, or dictionary, a set, or a string. Right. So let's take an example of this. So I have a one list which I'm going to use. So already I have a list which I'm going to first, let's say, print over here. Okay, it's giving me error. The name fruit is not defined because we have used another one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a list first. Fruits, this is my list. I'm creating it. Apple, banana, kiwi, let's say dragon fruit. Okay, so this is what I have done. Now I have to execute and display each fruit I have mentioned in my fruit list, right? So for that, for value of a in fruits, print value of a, and let's hit the button button. Now you can see the value. So remember one thing, in Java programming, like if we talk about Java, we use this, in the for loop or if loop. But you have seen in Python we are using colon over here, right? So just remember, so it will be much easier for you if you worked on Java and you are moving on to the Python. So it will few things you need to remember. Most of the things are same, like the functions which we use in Java, the same functions we have over here, right? Now there's another thing which we have called a break. How we going to use a break over here, right? Let's say use the break. So I'm going to use again my same list over here. So let me write down for x in fruits. Now I'm going to run it. So I'm going to print first hmm, value of x, and after that I would say if x equal to mango break, or I would say, let me take example, not break, I would say kiwi. Yeah, because, and then I write down a break statement over here and run it. So you can see apple, banana, and kiwi. Dragon fruit didn't execute because it's break the statement and come out of the loop. So this is the way how we are going to use the break statement. Now let's take an example of another for continue statement, which is another keyword, the continue, how the continue will use. So let me take example of the same one. Okay, and I'm going to put it over here. I have written, but I do a modification of here. I'm using continue over here, and then I'm writing uh, print x, right? This is the statement x in fruits which I have taken. Print if x is value is this, then it will continue and print the value of x which we are seeing. So let's run it. Okay, so it's giving me error on line 5, and okay, again the same error. This is because, see, this is why the continue is not defined. Okay, my mistake, because I have given a wrong spelling. My mistake. So this thing is always remember, like, over here I'm doing some mistakes over here, so you can see that, you know when I do some mistake, it will show me in a red. Otherwise, it's showing me, the font of my keywords are green. Otherwise, it's showing me in a red. So this is how you can understand how this is going to work. So you can see that what has been done is written over apple, apple, banana, banana, kiwi, dragon fruit. Again, because we are printing X over here. If I remove it, let's see what will be the results. Apple, banana, kiwi, dragon fruits is continuing it, right? So this is the way we are. Now there's another function which I guess I have shown you in the previous session, the range function. And what this range function is, we'll see in the example. So suppose if I have give to a range something, like for, say, I say for x in range 6, print x is put it 0 to 5, right? But if I have to give the specific value, so let's say if I say for x in range 1 to 7, and I would say print x and run it, it says invalid in syntax because I forget this. Again, indent problem. Yeah, so you can see for x in range 1 to 7 is displaying value 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have given a range of 1 to 7, right? So this is how the things are work. But there is another, but there is possibility to specify an increment value by giving a third parameter. So let's take that example also. So I say, uh, let me copy this over here. Oh, sorry, let's copy this over here, and I give another parameter as a 2 over here, comma 2. Now if I run it, just invalid syntax. Okay, forget the for. Yep. So you can see the value is 1, 3, and 5. So how what is going on over here? if you can see, is giving you 1, 3 and 5, right? So in this way we can use the third parameter for showing the values, based on the gap, whatever the gap it is, we are providing it, right? So this is the way we are working on by using a for loop. Now let's take another example for a for loop. Okay, in the same way. So let's say I have a for x in range 6, 6 if x equal to 3, break, print x, else print yeah. Again, indent problem. We have indent problems again and again. And why showing me indent problem? Let me check. It's a invalid index. So where's the invalid x? Else print x. We have given a print x. Break. We have given line number 444 over here. Let me do this. If block. So it's saying expected an indent block. Okay, so we have to give the indent, otherwise it won't work. Oh, sorry. The same we have to give this for this also. And let's see. Okay, again we are getting some problem over here. Um, mm, let me write down again. Brain 6. 3 colon break, print value of x, else print value of finished, right? Let's run it. Now it's run. So have you seen the difference over here? What exactly the difference is? The difference is this. So just keep remember, because when you are, when we are going to write code over here, we get this kind of invalid syntax and all. So you just remember that where exactly the indents or something you have missed out something kind of. So this is what we have remember. But this is the beauty of this language, that it will provide where exactly the problem is, so we can identify and what exactly the problem is. So we can see the problem is syntax error, so we can resolve it, and we can see the result 0, 1, 2 over here. So this is the way we used a for loop. Now let's move ahead and we'll see the while loop. So basically, while and for loops are two primitive loops, right? So let's take an example of while I say a equal to 1, and now if I say while a less than 6 colon print value of a and a plus equal to 1, right? And let's print it. So you can see 1 2 3 4 5, but in case if I say equal, it will run 6. So what exactly is while loop is doing? It will see until my condition is true, I'm performing this particular certain task, and I'm incrementing my variable value by 1, right? Now see how the break statement will work into this. So let me do one thing. Let me copy this over here and I'll paste it over here. So I have a print, I'm printing value of a. Let me put it, if a equal to 3, then what it will do, it will break and a plus 1. Now it's run. So 1 2 3, it's break whenever I have a 3, right? Same, we have a continuous statement in this. So I'm just copying this. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm just removing this word. This time I have written correct spelling of continue. Oh no. Yeah, my mistake. So okay, so this is how we are going to do. Okay, and let me put it over here. Sorry, print value of a, and this is coming in red. So now now you can see it's coming in a green. Okay, so now we have this, and we have given, so if there is a a3, a equal to 3, then it's continue and print the value of this, and let's run it. So you can see that, right? So, oh, my mistake, I have just given over here the print. So let me put it, because I have not given the incremental, so I would say 1 over here, and let's run it. Okay, so this is a plus 1. If a equal to 3, then continue a print value of a. Okay, something I missed out. Let me see what I'm missing over here. I have a given value. Okay, I have a given value. Copy this. Copy. I'm just writing again. Let's a equal to 0 while a is less than 6. Say a plus equal to 1. The increment, I've incremented it. If a equal to 3, then continue and print the value of a for us. Something I'm saying over here. Let me check what I'm missing at this moment. So I'm saying yes, this is what I missed out, but no. Again, it's giving some problem. While a less than 6, I plus equal to 1, a plus equal to 1, continue, print I. Something, let me check what I'm missing right now. Let me check it again. What exactly it is missing, because something I missed out. uh, Let me do something again. Let's say I type it over here, equal to 0. There is some problem over here, but let's see what exactly it is. We'll, we'll come back to this and see what, why is not, execution of this particular code, when even though we have, we have run for the break itself. Let's take another example at this moment. The else statement, how the else statements work into. So I am taking the example, you know, I equal to 0, I equal to 1, while I is less than 6. Print I plus equal to 1, else we are going to print I is the longer less than 6. I think something is missing over. Let me open the another one, because all the cases should run. I just copied it, pasting over here. Yes, you can see that. So I think some problem with notebook, and because this continuous statement was right, let's again execute this one also, the continuous statement. You'll see, yeah, see. So what we have written is fine, but somehow the notebook is kernel is stop executing our code. So that is why, right? So see, this is the way we use the else, and this is how we use a continue one, right? So this is how we use the flow statements in our, in our code. Whenever we try to write a code. Okay, now let's talk about functions over here. So basically, what is a function? Function is a block of code which only runs when it's called, and you can pass data known as a parameter into the function itself, and function provide you or returns a result data as a result to you. Okay, so let's see now. When we are working on the functions, we understand one of the token which we have missed out, which is called a identifier, right? So how we are going to define our function? So there is a one keyword which is called a def. Let me write down def keyword. So let's say I want to write, I'm giving an example of creating. So I say def my, say, function, okay, and put it into, let's say, a string. This is my first function, right? This is how I have written. And if I want to call this function, so what I need to do, I have to just say right? And let's run this. So this is my first function. So this is how we are going to do that. Now talk about the argument. When we write a function and we pass the argument, so let's take example, another example. I'm going to create, this is how I'm going to create a function, and I'm passing the value f channel name. So this is, I'm passing it, and now I'm writing, we're going to print something. So print my channel again plus, and the value of channel name, right? This is how we are going to. Now if I have to run it, so I have to write my function and the value now I'm going to run it. So you can see that. So whenever you see, whenever you click on like button, it's always motivate us to create a new content for all of you, to to provide your knowledge whatever we have. So please, if you like this video, you can share and follow and share with your friends. And for for our motivation, please follow and subscribe our channel. I'm asking you because we are putting so much of effort over here. So if you like it, just hit the like button. Now there are two terms we generally heard about: the parameter and the arguments. So what are the arguments and the parameters we'll talk about? Okay, so parameter is the variable listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition. And what is the argument? Argument is the value that is sent to the function when it's called. So there are, these are the two terms. Always remember parameter, which is written between the parentheses in the function, and the argument is given the value when we call the function. So now let's take another example of calling a function to two two parameters, or I would say providing a two arguments, right? So let's take an example. I'm writing again another function, which is my def function. Okay, name comma name. This is function I've written. Now I'm going to print it. Print name. Okay. Now I'm calling my function, giving the values, and let's run it. Now this is how we are going to run it. There is another thing which we use in when we do the function, which is called arbitrary arguments. So what is this? Let's see this also. So let's say, so, so let's say you don't know how many arguments you need to pass into your function. Okay. So in that case, what we use the asterisk before the parameter. So let's take an example of that. I have written function over here. Okay, now I don't know how many parameters I need to pass it, right? So in that case, what I'm going to do, I just use this, click on this, print. Now now what I'm going to do is This is how we are doing using a arbitrary arguments when we don't know about the parameters, right? Now let me call my function. This is my function, what I am calling it, and we'll see parameters. So I'm giving the name over here. So I've given the names, right? These are the names which I have given. See, have you seen the difference? The font is red now. If the Indians are correct, it will. So what it is going to show me, it will give me the output either the youngest child is Dan, right? So this is how we are going to use these things. Now let's talk about the keyword arguments because we have, right. So let's take an example of this also. How the keyword argument can be used. So again, I'll take uh, function. Let me say child 1 comma child 2 comma child 3. I'm writing print. Let me copy this. So I can write it child. Over here I am writing not a case. So I'm writing child 3. So now my function. Now I'm see what I'm doing right now. Key value here, right? Child 1 equal to family child 2 Tom child 3 equal to Dan. This is how we use a key because I have given the keywords over here, keys over here, right? And in the function I am passing the key values. So the youngest child is Dan. See, so in this way we can use our function when we don't know, when we don't have a we don't know how many parameters. We use asterisk sign in the functions and then we can pass it number of values into my functions. If I want to use the keyword arguments, then I have to write the function in this way. And there's another when we use arbitrary keyword arguments. So in that case, how we are going to do that? Let me take another example for this. At this time, what I'm doing, I am taking this, copying this one, writing over here. And now, in this case, whenever you do that, you have to use double asterisk sign over here, right? And over here, you can give a name, like I would say, uh, F name, right? So I'm combining these two things, right, together. So this is what I am going to do. I have given function, written function over here. Now I have to provide. See, there are the two things. One, I don't know how many parameters. Second, I have to use a keyword, the keys. So in that case, I'm providing the values like say I say f name equal to Shamsher, and I would say comma L name equal to thing. So this is I'm going to write. So if I say the youngest child is Shamsher. So this is how we are going to use arbitrary keyword arguments, or we would say the quarks, right? Now let's talk about the default parameter values. When we say default parameter, how the default parameters value will work. So in that case, we have, we'll take example. Again, we take this example. where I'm going to define my function first thing. But in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a default parameter value. So let me take example fruit equal to I like apple, so I add the apple over here. Okay, now let's print. Say I am going to print the value over here is I like, and paste it over as a fruit name. So whatever my default value I have provided, it will execute it. So let's see how the function is going to be executed. So I'm writing over here my function, and I give the value called, let's say suppose I'm giving kiwi, or if I give a value called, let's say mango, or in case if I don't give any value, any argument, right? So I've just given nothing over here, right? And see what would be the result in our case. See, I like kiwi, I like mango, I like apple. So in this case, what I have done, I have given a default value. So if I'm not passing any argument into my function, then it will take my default value which I have given into the parameters. Right. So in this way, we can define the default value and use our function. Now we see how we can pass a list as an argument. So let's say the function is a function, and I'm passing the fruit over here, and saying for using a for loop x in fruit and print the value of x. This is what I have done, and I'm going to give fruits, sorry, fruit equal to, now this is my list which I am giving: apple, banana, grapes. So this is I have given. Now I'm going to execute my function, and I'm giving the list over here, fruit. uh, the like fruit name over here, and we'll run it. So you can see, so in this way we can pass a list as an argument. So there is another thing, another one, uh, we talk about the returning values. So if my function, suppose I have a function called my function, and I'm passing a parameter as a x over here, and I say the use a return keyword and say 10 into x, and we'll see the results. Then if I'm executing my function passing an argument over here with 5, and see what is the result, you can see the output is 50. So this is how we can do using the return values. Now I'll tell you something. See, if you click on this button, you can see there are shortcuts given over here. So if you want to see what the shortcuts, you have to just write down, like I said, run all. So these are given the command, the shortcut which I can use it. The same the pass statement which we have seen in the if statement. If there is no contain in the if condition, if condition. So for not getting, to pass the errors, so we are using the pass keyword. The same we are using the pass keyword into our functions also. Right. Now let's take an example of recursion. This, okay. So what is recursion? Recursion is basically a common mathematical and programming concept. Basically, it means that the function calls itself. So if I have a function and I want to call it again and again, so that's why I use a recursion. And the benefit of this is the data, you can loop through a data for getting a results, right? So let's take this example. So let's say I creating an example called my recursion and passing the value a over here. Let's say if a is greater than 0, then what it will do, pass me the result equal to a plus 1, sorry, a plus my function q, and I'm going to give the value a. Yeah. Now print result, right? Else result equal to 0, and then return result. We're going to print. So this is, now I'm going to my function with passing argument, let's say 5, and execute it. So you can see 1, 3, 6, 10, 15. So this function is calling itself because I have passed the value, it's calling itself and putting the results, and after that it's giving me the final result over here. So this is how we use the functions. So far we have understand the flow statements, conditional statement, and the functions, how the functions is going to be worked on it. So uh, just keep working on it, do some practice, so you can understand. You can, the more you do practice, the more you are going to understand the concepts, the user of the functions, user of, you know the functionalities and the abilities, capabilities provided by this programming language. So today we are closing this session as of now. If you like this video, please like and share. And for our channel support and for our motivation, please follow and share our channel. Thank you very much.